Greetings, educators, parents, students, and anyone within ear's reach of my voice. Welcome to Season 3 of Meetings with Mugs, a podcast all about positive impacts in education. I'm broadcasting live from the positive place, a place where negativity is locked out and nothing of the such is let in. This podcast is intended to spread positivity and make positive impacts, whether it is in education or any other realm of life. So if you're ready to get your weekly dose of positivity, don't forget to join me right here every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Well, what is today's discussion about? I ask, what is your educational purpose? This question is rather universal. Now, I don't want to talk about your why, educators. I want to discuss your purpose. What are you here for? Educators, why do you show up every day? Do you show up because you need a paycheck? Or do you show up because you want to make a difference? I really hope that you are showing up to make the greatest impact possible. Now let's dig in a little deeper. Are you the same person in the classroom that you are in real life? You should be. You should be a person of integrity, a person of dignity, a person of high moral character. Listen, I get it. We all have personal lives to live, and we separate our work life from the fun we have in our personal time. But that's not what I'm talking about. You should live the life of a difference maker and not a faker. If you masquerade as a teacher, but you live as a constant liar or a thief, then ultimately you are not trustworthy of guiding the life of another individual. If you are the kind of educator who is constantly yelling and reprimanding students, I cordially ask you, what is the benefit? What parent do you know willingly accepts someone who is a daily pessimist and doesn't hold out hope for their kid? Let me tell you a story, ladies and gentlemen. Once upon a time, I was that kind of educator. I was the kind of educator who was constantly yelling. Of course, I was a band director, right? I wasn't pessimistic, but I was always yelling. In administration, I slowly came to realize I was getting nowhere fast with that approach. I changed my approach, and I have since then seen greater impact in my career. You see, I build relationships, I motivate, and I meet kids where they are and help change behaviors for the positive. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I work under the guise of an educator, but I live the life of an agent of change because God gave me a purpose to create a better educational way of life for students. Every time I begin a keynote speech, I begin with, I change lives for a living. And simultaneously, while I live the life of an agent of change, there is my personal life. So again, educators, what is your God-given purpose? I would be remiss if I didn't mention this name this weekend. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You heard me reference agent of change. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the ultimate agents of change. Dr. King had a God-given purpose, and he understood his assignment very well. His efforts and the efforts of others who surrounded him changed the landscape of our nation's social environment. Of all of his quotes, I have two favorites. The first is, the time is always right to do what is right. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call integrity. Something the educational system, let alone our nation, is lacking. To do right by others and always do it is a profound way of living. Now, my other favorite quote by Dr. King is, and I partially quote, "What are you doing for others?" The quote is rather self-explanatory. How are you helping others who are less fortunate? How are you impacting others who are less educated? How are you serving your community? You don't need money to bless others. You just need abilities. Lend a helping hand. Mentor and motivate students. Hold conferences or community sessions that enlighten and empower families by providing transparency. Now, the combination of both of these quotes is simply always do right by others. And much of this sounds like the golden rule. Now, I'm no theologian, but did you know that some semblance of the golden rule exists within at least 10 different faith-based religious documents? It's not just in Christianity. You can find it in Islam. You can find it in Hinduism, Judaism, as well as Buddhism. So I ask, what is your purpose in humanity? Well, here goes the first dose of positivity for this season. What is in my cup of positivity? And today's cup is the promise of purpose. You weren't created to just exist. You were created with a task. Now, I'm not sure what your task is. Maybe it's to make people smile through comedy. Maybe it is to grow individuals like beautiful sunflowers. But whatever it is, get off the sidelines and get into the game. And when you do, bring your positive A game. Because the more people who exude positivity, the brighter the world shines. I'll see you next week when I broadcast live from Shrink Gym in Houston, Texas. We're talking about self-accountability when it comes to the job and our personal health. So until then, in the words of Porky Pig, that's all, folks.